Namaste and welcome to React Bits. We are building our Flutter+Appwrite starter application, and this is the fourth and final video in that series. Up until now, we have set up authentication, we have set up like basic splash screen, and we have properly set up our state management to handle authentication, and we also have set up localization. And we are using Riverpod for state management, and then Flutter's default localization services for localization, and we have basic setup. Now we are moving on, and we will use user preferences to save some user related stuff like package versions and the users maybe device logged in device details. So let us get started with this. First, let's check our user model. So in the user model, we have users preferences as a map string dynamic, that is a JSON data. So let us create our own model for prefs as well. So inside auth data models, let's create a file called userprefs.dart. In the preferences, we would like to save few things, so let's create first. We'd like to save users build number for the package. Then we'd like to show an intro screen for newly signed up users. So we'll store something called whether or not the user has seen the intro. And maybe we'd also like to save the last logged in date of the user. And finally, we can also save the user's device ID. For now, let's just save the device ID, and you can expand along and save other details regarding the user's device. And let's use again our data class generator to generate the data class. So I'm not yet using the null self version. Let me just remove this. Okay, so we have our user preferences class, and in user we can just make this user prefs and user prefs to map prefs.toMap, and finally user prefs from map, not map equals, we can simply write prefs. Okay, prefs.hashcode, that's fine. So we have now user preference class and user model, they are properly linked. Now in user repository, after the get user is successful, so when we are able to successfully get the user from the API, we'd like to update the user's preference maybe with last logged in date and package number and those kind of things. So we will create a function called save user prefs, and we'll call it here, and let's make this function save user prefs. Okay, in here we'll do some few things. So let's make this async. If, just to be safe, so let's get the package info. for package info, we are using package info plus package info equals from platform, right? Build number, so we want to get the build number, parse package info dot build number, and let's create a preference. User dot prefs. If it's null, we can simply use prefs, but I'm almost sure that user dot prefs will not be null but can be empty map. Now copy with build number okay, and we can set last logged in now dot, and finally intro scene will be, we can just use prefs dot intro scene or false. Now service dot instance dot prefs dot to map. So we need to create this function, update preference function, in our API service. So let's go to our API service and create a function called update prefs. Okay, data. All right, and when this is successful, we just want to set user equals copy with prefs and then notify listeners. We want to also save the device ID. Let's check our pub spec. Do we have device info plus? Yes, we do have device info plus. We can get the device information from device info plus package as well. So let's so device info plus plugin, let's check it out. It supports Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, web, Windows. Okay, all platform. That's great. So we can get Android info, iOS info, or web browser info. Let me just copy these, and let's go here. Let me just paste it here. I can remove this, and what I can do is if k is web, else, so if k is web, I want the web browser info. Okay, device info, this should be set up above here. Web browser info, so I can use device ID dot, let's say, what do we have here? User agent, vendor, device memory. I don't think it has something like ID. Max touchpoint, language, app code name. The internal code name of the current browser. Do not rely on this property to return the correct value. DOM string with official name of the browser. Okay. Do not rely. Do not rely. Okay. The build number of the current browser. Let's use user agent. This could be the device ID for the web. So else what we can do, if platform dot is Android, we can use Android info, and then here device ID will equal Android ID, hardware device ID. Okay, this. Else if is iOS, we can handle this using iOS info equals info dot identifier for the vendor. Okay, let's remove these, and then finally in our user preference device ID, just update the device ID. Okay, so now whenever user logs in, we get the time, save it, we save the build number of our package that they are using. We'll also save their device ID, and if we choose, we can save other device details like name of the device, maybe some other details that will help us solve the problem if ever they report any errors. Intro scene, whether or not the intro has been seen. So let's create an intro screen as well. So let us go to feature general. In the general feature in pages, let's create intro dot. We don't need app bar for intro screen, and let's just say let's just give it toolbar height, and then what we can do here, text welcome to starter. We can add bunch of other informations. We can add a image carousel using swiper. We can do whatever we want in our intro screen. So let me just keep it to this style. Context text theme. Headline, let's see 3. Okay, and here at the end I'll have a button, elevated button, text get started, and on pressed will handle this. But first let's go to our auth home. So auth presentation pages auth home dot, and here once user is authenticated, what I can check is, if not loading, I'll check user.preps.intro scene or false. So if it's null, it should be false. Then we'll show intro page, otherwise we'll show home page. So now if I hot restart, I should see intro page, not the home page. So hot restart. Okay, I get the intro page. Now let's make a function called intro scene in the user repository, which will update the preference and make the intro scene. Async underscore user dot prefs copy with intro scene true. We are just making this value true, and then await instance dot update prefs dot to map, right? And finally user equals copy with prefs and then notify listeners. So once we tap this, we can call this intro scene intro scene function, so that this will be set to true and users should be taken to the home page, and from next time on this intro scene should not be shown. So let's go to intro page, and when the user presses here, let me import reverb pod. And here read user repo provider dot intro scene sync await. I can add a loading state to make it loading and stuff, but that's fine, right? So now if I tap this, let me hot restart just to be safe. Hot restart, I'm again at the get started page, and now if I tap this, I should be taken to the home page. Okay, it's not working. Let's see why. So we are making intro scene true, then calling the update prefs, and we are also updating the prefs to our user. We are updating the user, and then we are notifying the listeners. Okay, let's check here what's going on. Let's hot restart. When we get here, we have a breakpoint. So user, I don't want to watch anything, underscore user prefs intro scene is true. Okay. Okay, when it's true or null, when it's true, I'm showing the intro page, not the home page. So I made some error here, so let me just change this. Home page, and here intro page. Alright, so now I should be taken to the home page. So when the intro is not seen, user will be shown the intro page, and once the user taps get started in the intro page, he will not be shown that ever again. So this could be one use of the user preference. So now we learn how we can leverage the user preference object and store basic things like users, device ID, prefs, intro scene, and let's head over and see what we get. So let's go to the demo. Let's sign in Flutter+Appwrite starter, and let's check the users. Let's see. So see, build number 1, we can see the device ID, we can see the last logged in date, we can see intro scene is true. So this is how we can save users preferences, and we can add to this as well. Let us end this series by making a basic profile page for the user. So let's close everything, profile.dart. So So let's go to profile.dart and let's make this consumer widget. This will give us scope, reader, watch. Let's watch user repo provider. Let us display the basic information here. Text. Let's also make user repo.user, user dot name, and below that user dot email. We display the name and the email of the user. Let's just make it bold. Headline 6. Above this, we would love to show our user some profile picture. So let me just head over to profile so we can see the name and the email of the user. Let's show some profile avatar. So how can we show that profile avatar? Appwrite has a avatars endpoint that can return us a avatar from user's name or initials. So let's use that. So let's see here. So we'll get the initials avatar by using the name. So let's create avatar service. Avatars. Let's instantiate avatars client. And finally here, get initials, and we can pass in the name, and then we can have like width 500, height 500. Okay, width we can just make 200. We don't want very large width for our avatar. Okay, here now we can use future builder. Snapshot. Let's just check if dart has data. Is it written avatar, else height 0. Okay, if it has data, let us return circle avatar, background image. So it will be memory image snapshot.data.data. So the avatars dot get initials will return a future response, and response dot data will be the actual image data in unit at least bytes. Okay, so we can use it like this. Let me try. So our future here will be instance dot initials avatar, user dot name. Let's add comma here and here. Okay, get initials was called on null. I need to hot restart. Tap on profile so we can see this. Maybe we need to fit. How do we fit? Background image. Let's try radius 50. Okay, we can see it in action, but not quite right. So let's change the implementation. Let's wrap with center. Does it have? Yeah, that makes it better. So let's reduce this radius to say 30, 40. So using the Appwrite's avatar endpoints or avatar service, we can get simple avatar for users initials. So if we ever change the user's name, this will automatically get updated. So this is our basic starter application for Flutter+Appwrite. We have set up localization, we have set up authentication, we have set up state management using RiverPod, we have some basic user preferences that we use to save some basic information about the user, and we have a basic profile page. Now you can add on to this, you can add things like edit profile, maybe allow users to upload their profile picture and save it to the storage and display the profile picture. You can add a lot of things that you want in your Appwrite starter application. And as I showed you here, you don't have to stick to RiverPod. You can add your own state management solution. You can just remove RiverPod and add your own. Also, you can add a lot more things that you would like your every Appwrite Flutter project to have in the beginning. You can set up intro screen, you can set up proper profile management, you can set up like other user information, you can allow your users to fill in the profile info, you can have other settings that you can save in the user preferences, like maybe themes in dark mode or light mode, those kind of things. Thank you everyone for going through this tutorial. I hope if you are here, that means you have gone through whole series, and I hope you have learned a lot, and I can't wait to see what you build and what you add to your Appwrite starter package. So if you make your own Flutter+Appwrite starter package, do share. If you love, you can contribute back to my Appwrite starter package, maybe with another state management solution or maybe other added functionalities so that others can use it too. So for this series, I'll be sharing 2 GitHub repositories. One will be the code that I used exactly in this tutorial, that will consist of different branches for each part, and another will be a repository that I myself use for my Flutter+Appwrite starter projects that has a bit added functionalities than what we have done so far, so that you can learn from it. You can even make contributions to it, you can submit your pull request, you can fork it and use it as a template for your Appwrite starter. You can do anything you like with it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also turn on the notification if you like these kind of videos and want to get notified whenever I publish more. Thank you. See you again in the next episode.